Welcome to another DragonLance Saga review episode. It is Kirinor Deep Cult IV. My name is Adam, and today I'm going to give you my review of The Dragon Isles by Stephen D. Sullivan. I would like to take a moment and thank the DL Saga YouTube members and Patreon patrons, and invite you to consider becoming a member or patron. You can even pick up Dragonlance Media or get $10 by signing up to startplaying.games. My affiliate links are in the description below. Now, this is my perspective only. If you have thoughts that differ, please share them in the comments. If you're joining live via YouTube or Twitch, put them in the chat. I'd love to hear from you. The way this works is I have a pre-written review, and at the end of that, I'll just sort of riff for a little bit. If you have any comments or questions in the chat, then I'll address them, but that's kind of it. So let's dive into it. Part 1 of this novel deals with Lady Carista Minor and her bodyguard, Bach, hiring a ship to take them to the Dragon Isles, where they want to open a trade route. They're using an old poem that is thought to be a prophecy about how to find the mysterious Dragon Isles. The novel opens with the ship's captain, Mikal Vardan, rescuing one of his sailors, a kender named Triple Knot Shellcracker, from a sea monster. They narrowly escape and are pulled on deck just in time for the crew to near mutiny. They've been informed about the point of this. They've not been informed about the point of this excursion, and they've been sailing the northern Korean Ocean for longer than anticipated, with no end in sight. They're told they're headed to the Dragon Isles, where everyone will get their share of the spoils, and this pacifies them. Then they see floating wreckage, which the kender claims to see someone on top of. It takes a while to intercept, but there is a Dargonisty elf chained and unconscious on the wreckage. They bring her aboard and nurse her. It is revealed that she was believed to be cursed by her former shipmates and left to die because there's a sea monster named Tempest trying to enter... a sea dragon, trying to enter the Dragon Isles with her dragon spawn, Mog. If they can get through the veil, which protects the Isles, then no one will be able to get through the veil if they can't get through it. So she's been attacking all the ships that dare to get near. It's also revealed that the captain, Mick, is having visions of treasure, and the Dargonisty named Ula is willing to help him locate the Isles and treasure for a percentage. He agrees, but Carista doesn't. Then Tempest attacks. She capsizes the ship and kills most of the crew. Mick and Trip use their failing magical items to breathe underwater, but are captured by other Dargonisty and brought to their underwater town. There they will be sold off into slavery or fight. However, Tempest and Mog followed. Once in prison, they see that Ula and Carista were there and the only other survivors. Then Tempest attacks. They escape together with the help of one of the elves that captured them, named Shimmer. He leads them into the veil, and with the aid of a black gem Mick has, they all pass through. Mog follows and narrowly passes through as well, though Tempest is left on the other side still. Tempest charges at the barrier using all her might and magic, and is repelled again and again. She must be content that her spawn is on the other side, following the mortals, waiting to spring a trap and drop the veil once and for all. On the other side, the party comes ashore and is seen by a massive dragon. Then a ship rolls up under the order of the brass, taking them captive. Ula demands honor by combat rather than them being taken to the Order of the Brass Lord, and she fights Misha Kell, defeating her. Her brother's furious, but honors the bargain. Ula has taken them to the Dargonisty Kingdom, but Benthor Kell, Misa's brother, holds to the law of shipping the kender to an island where all of the kender dwell. Carista Minor decides to stay with Kell to have the Order of Brass negotiate shipping routes with her. The kender is tied up in a cabin, and Ula, Mick, and Shimmer are dropped into a boat and leave to the Dargonisty home. Once they arrive, they see some of the people from the ruined sea elf town outside the veil, and they make their pleas to the Lord of the Realm. He allows them freedom, and Ula, Mick, and Shimmer decide to look for the next key to their treasure by visiting the Sea Sage. When they arrive, it ends up attacking them, and they temporarily defeat it, taking its key. Next, they head to the Gold Dragon's libraries. There, Ula stays at the ship while Shimmer and Mick head up, only to be stopped by a copper dragon guard who knows Shimmer and lets them pass. Back on Kel's boat, Trip escapes and jumps overboard, swimming from the pursuing ship. He hides in a cave and finds a secret entrance to a pirate's hoard, where he takes a sea dragon cloak that allows him free movement and breathing underwater. He escapes his pursuers and gets passage from the pirate Jarek the Red, an old acquaintance of Mick's. Very convenient. He takes the Kender to the same island as his companions, conveniently, and meets Ula there. Mick and Shimmer enter the library, and Mick climbs to the peak and has a vision of the island chain being formed and populated, then gets the next key piece. They come to a shore to see Ula, Trip, and Jarek, where they bargain for his ship to take them to the final key location. Kel meets the Order of the Bronze and is told to stop Ula and Shimmer retrieving the treasure themselves as payment for the future shipping agreement with Karista. They pursue Jarek's ship, and their dragon emissary abducts Ula. Shimmer transforms into a bronze dragon, his true form, and attacks the bronze holding Ula. He recovers her as Krell seizes control of Jarek's ship with his own ship. Shimmer crashes on deck with Ula, and both sides nearly come to blows when Jarek speaks up on working together to split the treasure. The interjection actually works, and they all get together to find the last piece of the key. They find the location and dive under the water, locating the temple where they find the key, but Mog is waiting and attacks the guard, changing into his appearance. He joins the crew, and as Mick assembles the key with the new piece, a stairway appears and ascends into the sky. They begin to go up, and swarms of crabs attack. Then Karista steals the key from Mick and reveals she's working for Tempest. This stuns Mog, and they both race to the temple, fighting the heroes all the way. Tempest breaks through the barrier when the group arrives at the temple, and his now fully assembled key is like a lightning weapon that's turned against the heroes. Factions are blurred, and everyone seems to be surviving incredible wounds, but the fight is truly epic. Karista is defeated, and the heroes reclaim the key only to have Tempest arrive and fight them, killing many people, including Karista, and all scatter trying to defeat the sea dragon. Eventually, Mick faces off against it and plummets into a volcano, the dragon, which then erupts as the key seems to offer Mick treasure at the sacrifice of the Dragon Isles. He refuses and throws the key into the volcano as well. The Temple of the Sky begins to fade, and he leaps into the ocean, sure to drown. He is saved by Ula, and they return to the ship when Trip arrives with the miraculously still alive Shimmer. They all decide to continue searching for treasure on the Dragon Isles together, and the novel ends abruptly. There are so many moments where characters should have died over and over again, but I forgive it for the epic scope of that final battle. Now, this author isn't great, but I did find myself enjoying this novel more than I anticipated. And even if the story itself was seemingly rushed, I also think it was more epic than the dawning of a New Age final novel, which, while not saying a lot since it wasn't good, does say something that this one novel was superior to a trilogy of novels. So if you're a fan of the Dragon Isles and water-based adventures, this is a must-read. For fans of Dragonlance, it's fun, but really not required reading. And there were some real plot holes that I forgot until I was just rereading this now. The whole idea that Mick has this one piece of the key to the Dragon Isles' veil is never explained. How he got it, where it came from. And why would there be multiple versions, like multiple pieces of this key broken apart in different areas all around the Dragon Isles that's key to protecting the Dragon Isles when one of the pieces is outside of the Dragon Isles somewhere? And then there's this, like throughout the entire book, there's this prophecy that they're reading, which leads them to the pieces of the keys and ultimately to the one gem that's supposed to drop down the veil, protecting the Dragon Isles. But it is referencing constellations. We're in the 5th Age right now. The constellations, when this gem was created, in like the Age of Dreams or Starbirth, this constellation was totally different then. So who, after Chaos left and Takiza stole the world away in the Age of Mortals, took the pieces of the Dragon Isles items, put them in all these different places, wrote a poem about finding them all, then took it outside of the Dragon Isles, and then somehow gave it to Mick, who then came back to find it all and wrap it all up. Never explained. And he keeps having these visions. And it's never explained why he's having these visions. It like alludes that he's someone of significance and importance, but at the end of the book, he's just a treasure hunter. So there's really nothing there. I mean, there's just so many plot holes. And then they had, I think her name was Callista. They had Carista going, it was definitely rushed. This was like a trilogy into one 300-page book. I mean, it was like super condensed together as far as time goes. Carista is trying to open trade routes between the Dragon Isles and her home. Never explains where her home is, so okay. Then there's a point where she gets captured and almost killed by Tempest, and Tempest makes her Tempest's slave to like make her do whatever she wants. And so when she has an opportunity to go with the heroes to collect all the different pieces of the key, she doesn't do that. Instead, she goes with the Order of Bronze. And there's no reason to go with the Order of Bronze if she's working for Tempest. So it's like at the final act of this story, the author was like, how about we make her evil? Yes, that's the ticket. With nothing that actually connects to it, no motivation that connects to it, only his lack of storytelling. And that's just not good enough. If she was really working for Tempest, she would either have been working also with Mog, who was also on the inside of the Dragon Isles, the dragon spawn, to capture the pieces of the keys as they were being found, or follow them to the very end and then use Callista with Mog to overthrow the two people and drop the veil. But instead, she did this whole weird side quest of convincing the Order of Bronze, which added more resistance to her final victory so they could fight against her to accomplish the same goal. It doesn't make any sense. So, yeah, there's like zero logic to the character's motivations in this book. Full stop. It never explains why Ula was outcast from her tribe, at least not that I picked up, but it constantly references that she was an outcast. It never explains why Shimmer was outcast as a bronze dragon to outside of the Dragon Isles Vale, but he was outside of it. It never explains the relationship that it talked about Ula and Shimmer having and why it broke down. But it certainly put that up there saying that they had a relationship. So there's just all these little story bit trails that could have led somewhere or could have been connected in some interesting way that were thrown out there and then just totally ignored altogether. Very, very frustrating. Yeah, Chris, I totally agree with you. Great premise, poorly executed. Tempest as a dragon, to have her literally like on the cusp of murdering everyone, and then she just falls into a volcano is probably the stupidest way of dying ever. Like just the most goofy, slapsticky, Scooby-Doo type way of defeating a villain. Like Mick just sticks his foot out and the giant dragon trips over the foot, just and then falls down into the volcano. Just stupid. The foot tripping didn't actually happen. Shimmer being a bronze dragon was the most obvious reveal. For sure. But why was he ostracized? Why did he leave? Why did Ula leave? Why does anyone ever leave? And if they're from the place, how come they don't know about all this treasure? It takes an outsider to come in for them to learn about the treasure. And then there literally was no treasure, like at all. There was this weird Excalibur vision that Galahad had when he was going after the Holy Grail for King Arthur, because King Arthur was dying, and he gets to the place of the Holy Grail, and he sees a vision, and then he tells the wrong answer, and he falls down and he's captured. Like, that's the vision style that we had of the treasure. Mick was constantly seeing the treasure. He was going to be a wealthy man. He gets to the very end. He has the key to the treasure, and then he just sees a vision of it. But there's no actual treasure anywhere. And he's like, all right, well, F it. And throws the key into the freaking volcano. I don't know, man. The more I think about this, actually, the more I don't like it at all. It was just too fast. It was thrown together too quickly. The chapters were incredibly short, constantly broken up. They didn't tie off any loose ends. They didn't have any logic to why the bad guys didn't work together from the beginning. It was just sort of all over there. Yeah, this is definitely my brain dump after reading it. All right, so let's see what else you guys got. Love the reviews. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Hey, Noah, how you doing? Kender make all stories better. I actually really liked Trip. I thought he was a great Kender. Let's see. Shimmer being a dragon, we said that. You had a problem with the sea dragons ever since early DL art depicted them as giant toads with wings. Not very... Yeah. Yeah. So there's two types of sea dragons. There's the sea turtles and then the sea toads. And both cases are just not that great looking. The turtles look much cooler than the toads do. But yeah, the toads with the tiny wings, it's pretty absurd. And this has got to be arguably the worst Dragonlance cover art in my opinion. Like, the main focus of it has a huge shadow over his face. Who does that? So you can't see who it is? Like, what's the point of that? I don't get it. And the whole time they're like, magic is failing. Sometimes our magic items don't work. Yet all magic items worked. All the time. It's just like, come on, man. This is pretty ridiculous. Hey, Mark, how you doing? I like to think that this one has a pleasant detour while exploring the wider DL universe. Some roads less traveled can be pretty interesting. Yeah, that's fair enough. Funny part of the book was they kept dividing the loot share like a constantly changing math problem. Yeah. But again, it didn't matter because there was no loot. So you can say, you take 6 shares and I'll take 4. How about we divide it equally? And they kept having to like break it apart more and more and more as more people got into wanting to get the treasure. Even people who said they didn't care about the treasure. But there was never any treasure at all. The treasure was just the veil. Get the stupid. Ugh. And it ended so abruptly with no wrap up, no catharsis. The only people that lived, presumably, were the people that were like the main characters. Literally everyone else supposedly died. There was supposedly, this is the Dragon Isles. So there are dragons. And they said, oh, all the good dragons have left. And yet they keep meeting good dragons. And good dragons are in charge. And yet none of those dragons even cared at all when this massive sea dragon invaded and the veil cracked open and attacked. But just 4 mortals snuck into the veil and instantly the dragons were there on them. But then when a massive sea dragon breaks through, no one is there. Everyone's just like, ho hum, I'm on lunch break. F off. Like, come on. And especially because they made the sea dragon out to be like the next dragon overlord, because that was its aspiration. And it had all these minions all around it doing its work, sea creatures and stuff. Just poorly put together story. They never fully explained why they didn't at least take some treasure at the end. No, there was no treasure. There literally was no treasure. Like, he got there and it was just a key. And they realized that the big diamond that was there was actually what empowered the veil. So there was no treasure to take. And then he saw a vision of the treasure and he was like, nope, and threw the key away, which then destroyed everything. So, I don't know. The fact that everyone could swim, everyone good had to survive was disappointing. Even Shimmer had died at least. Shimmer died like 4 times in this novel. And he kept coming back. He had a lance through his side. He was boiled on his face by Tempest. Another dragon like nearly ripped his wing off. I mean, he died like 4 or 5 times in this book. Never read Curse of Oak Island, so I'm not sure that connection. But in any case, look, I did enjoy the final battle. It was fun. And I enjoyed the characters. They were fun, even if their motivations didn't really make sense. The Coral Lance, they're like, well, while it's not a Dragon Lance, the Coral Lance should still wound Tempest Tempest took it to the eye, and it didn't even faze her, seemingly. I don't know. Maybe it took away all but one of her hit points or something. And that's why she tripped into the volcano. Just crazy, man. Just crazy. And that's the thing about a lot of these novels. The second you start like dissecting them and thinking about them, then the entire story unravels. So it's best not to and just enjoy it for what it was, a very quick 300-page read, like, and just move on past it. All right. Again, it's the Dragon Isles, and it barely even talks about the Dragon Isles. Most of it is underwater. Most of the entire thing is underwater, and it's all building these characters' backgrounds, but never explains anything. So I don't know. You could probably skip this, and you wouldn't miss anything at all. But if you just want to read an underwater adventure, I do like underwater adventures. So for that alone, it was worth it for me to check it out. All right, that is my review of The Dragon Isles by Stephen D. Sullivan. What did you think of the Dragon Tempest and her minions? Did it remind you of Ursula from The Little Mermaid like it did me? And finally, do you want more adventures with Mick, Trip, Summer, and Ula? Feel free to email me at info@dlsaga.com or leave a comment below. I would like to thank creator patron Aaron Hardy, developer patrons Chris Androu and Sam Ruiz, and all of the YouTube members. I also want to take a moment and remind you to subscribe to this YouTube channel, ring the bell to get notified about upcoming videos, and click the like button. It all goes to help other Dragonlance fans learn about this channel and its content. This channel is all about celebrating the wonderful world of DragonLance Saga. I hope you'll join in that celebration. Thank you for watching. This has been Adam with DragonLance Saga, and until next time, Slanjavar.